This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Friday, everybody. The weekend just about here. We got a big game tonight for the Winnipeg Jets, trying to find a way to get 2 points in Colorado, which nobody pretty much has done this year. Yikes. But listen, we spent a lot of time talking about the disappointment of the game in St. Louis and where the team is at with Mike McIntyre. Mike, maybe coming off of our conversation yesterday, had quite the column today in the Winnipeg Free Press, which sort of echoed many of our thoughts yesterday when we chopped it up. But we're going to focus in on this game tonight. But we will talk more about just where this team is at as we get into the Christmas break after the games in Colorado and Utah on the weekend. Murat is going to join us a little bit later on in the program. There is a lot of Bomber news to talk about. Of course, Nick Dembski re-signed. Some pretty big numbers, but I would say very, very well earned by Nick. And the two hometown boys are back in Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski. It's been a big week for the club, and Tommy Condell is the new OC. So we'll get the hammer in for a few minutes in the first hour of the program for his thoughts on all of that. Connor's going to jump on, I think, for a few minutes as well before Jeff comes in, and we'll get to a little bit more on the Winnipeg Jets. And then later on, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton with the NFL Notebook and an all-time classic NFL game last night between the Seahawks and the Rams. Oh my God, was that incredible. See what Remis has to say about that one coming up in just a minute. Welcome to everybody in chat. I have to admit, it's business as usual day after day, but just noticing that this is our 1200th episode of the WST Daily Show. So thanks to so many of you who have been with us for so many of the 1200 shows. And we just went over 5 million on YouTube as well, which was a pretty cool milestone. So thanks to everyone for all of their support over the years. And we'll have to do something fun in March for our 5th anniversary, if you can believe that. But we got another whiteout outside, more snow, just what we needed. But I'll tell you what, we'll take all the snow if maybe we could get some sort of a miracle win tonight in Denver and get the vibes up going into Sunday and the Christmas break for the Winnipeg Jets. Hey, huge happy holidays, and thanks to all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet just did WST winners this morning with Jake. Pat actually wasn't there. We had our first ever producer parlay with Connor Rabchak getting in on that. Was a lot of fun. That's up on the YouTube channel. And speaking of CoolBet, don't forget your next chance. We've got 2 more poker tourneys where the top 4 will qualify for the final for the Costa Rica trip. The next one is Monday night, 8 p.m. on Monday. Coolbet.com, the WST tournament. If you can check our socials for details on it, but essentially you want to go into CoolBet, into the poker. Once you get in there, click on tournaments and search WST, and we will be good to go. 8 p.m. on Monday night. 4 more qualifiers for the Costa Rica final and the trip at the end of January. Also want to thank Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, Princess Auto, Uptown Alley, Canadian Club, St. Vital Dental Center, and Rowley's Transfer, Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, a Why Not question of the day coming up, and of course, fan feedback for fansfirst.ca. Michael Remis, what is up? How you doing?
Hey, sorry, I didn't really publicize. Yeah, it's a cool accomplishment hitting 5 million views on YouTube. Kind of low-keyed that one. I feel like I need to be more like everyone on LinkedIn and bring out the megaphone and tell everyone how great we are. Otherwise, how will people know how great we are?
Either that or we need a PR team. We need a PR team.
Yeah. Hereby declare Winnipeg Sports Talk hit 5 million views on YouTube. One of those press releases. But yeah, very exciting stuff, and 1,200 shows. A lot of people in chat want us to do something very special for our 1,290th show, but also the 5th year anniversary. But very exciting stuff happening, and yeah, looking forward to what's going to happen with tonight's Jets game. Right, nice 8 p.m. start.
You know what? It's funny. The 5th anniversary in early March will be right around 1290.
Oh, will it? Oh, I guess
well,
so.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about it right now. Someone wants, probably not. I guess there's 20. Yeah, that probably number's coming a little bit after that, but it will be, it will be close. And yeah, I mean, listen, I kind of mentioned it right off the top because I just found out too. I saw someone say, hey, congrats on 1,200. And then I noticed as we were coming in, oh, wow, it's our 1,200th episode. And then Rio just casually mentions, oh, yeah, we got to 5 million, too. I'm like, oh, well, thanks for the heads up. That's awesome. But listen, I mean, we love doing this every day for you. This is a time where I think, it's obviously a time of giving, but it's also a time of being thankful. And we are certainly thankful every day for the support we get from all of you, the support from our amazing sponsors, and the privilege of being able to talk about all of our teams in the world of sports every day with you, even if our hockey team is driving us freaking crazy right now. And that's sort of been the case that it has been a little bit. But hey, listen, just before we get to the Jets, Remo, did you watch that epic football game last night? Honest to God, one of the craziest, most incredible, there it is, 5,000 views.
5 million.
Or 5 million, I should say.
It's a lot more.
Last November. Here we go. We get a little, we get something for that. A little
internet
YouTube
points.
Plaque. Internet points. And internet stroke as well. But anyways, that football game last night. Seattle beats the Rams 38-37 in overtime on a 2-point convert on a touchdown after the Rams had scored and gone for one. Complete with the most bizarre 2-point convert probably in NFL history, and one that could potentially determine a bye and home field throughout the playoffs. It was absolutely bananas.
That was an awesome game. Well, at least after the fourth quarter. I thought it was done after Darnold threw the second interception in the red zone, but starting with the Rashid Shaheed punt return touchdown, what a trade deadline acquisition he's been for them. That really, that led it, and credit to the Seahawks defense, shut down the Rams. I thought one of those teams, the opportunity was there to win it in regulation, but the defenses held steady, and you saw some excellent work by Puka Nacua receiving, and JSN as well in overtime. And what a play it was for the 2-point convert. And the guy hadn't caught a pass all game. And he catches the
you mean the 2-pointer in OT?
Sorry, the 2-pointer in OT. Yeah, not the controversial 2-pointer that was reviewed. That was a crazy play as well. And that led Puka Nacua to go immediately to social media and blast off right after the game talking about that. So
did you see McVay's presser?
Yeah.
So this happens. It's all happening in real time. And they were already going to ask him about the Puka stuff heading into the game and his apology and all that. And then they asked McVay, and he's pissed off. I mean, they just lost a huge game. He was probably still a little hot about what the hell happened with that call. I mean, for folks that missed it, this 2-point convert we're talking about was a pass that was slightly backwards, so technically a lateral by Sammy Darts. Hits one of the Ram defenders in the helmet, flies up, hits on the ground, and everyone just assumes it's an incomplete pass. And Zach Charbonnet literally just picked the ball up. It was on the goal line. He just grabbed it, and he didn't think that the play was live or anything like that. They go back. They're set up to kick off. And then there's a call down. Yeah, hold on a second. We got to take a look at this. It was ruled a fumble. It was a clear recovery, and it ended up going from 30-28 to 30-all, and that was what they needed to get that game to overtime. It had everything, and what a win for the Seahawks. They are now in the pole position for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And of course, that comes along with the bye. I will say this, though, for the MVP, Stafford passed for 450, no picks last night. He was absolutely brilliant. I know sometimes losses are judged like MVPs turn on wins and losses. This one's not turning on his performance last night. That was certainly MVP worthy. We'll talk about it more with Hacksaw a little bit later on. But Remo, I see it's your boy Bruce in the chat saying, all I want for Christmas is a win. Although unfortunately for the Jets and their fans, this might be the toughest team and place in the National Hockey League to win this year. We've talked a lot about the Central Division and how the best teams in the league are there. Well, the best team in the Central Division is the best team in the National Hockey League. It is the Colorado Avalanche, who, as we go into action tonight, have 24 wins, only 2 regulation losses, and 7 in OTs or shootouts. They are the class of the league, averaging over 4 goals a game and giving up only 2.21. Christmas miracles happen. It feels like it would be one for the Jets to get back to 500 with a win tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough sledding. If you thought it was tough to score on the St. Louis Blues, who give up, over 3 goals per game, and Joel Hofer on Wednesday, ramping it up a notch against the Avs. Scoring machine. Penalty kill, excellent. Goals against average. They really shored up the goaltending, getting Wedgwood and Blackwood last year, and Nathan McKinnon elevating his game. So be pretty nervous about what's going to happen tonight. Connor Hellebuyck going to have to be as great as he was yesterday. And, well, if they want to win, they're going to have to score, because they did not score any goals against St. Louis. It's been tough for anyone outside of the top line to put in the back of the net. But hey, stranger things have happened, and I was looking through the game notes. The Jets have actually fared pretty well in their last 10 games against Colorado. 7-3-0, 4-1-0 in their last 5 meetings, and their last 2 seasons at Ball Arena, 3-1-0, outscoring Colorado 69. Now those are 16-9. Now those are historical stats. This year's Jets team, it's a bit different than last year's Jets team, and this year's Avs team is on another level. But hey, stranger things have happened. I do remember Neil Pionk blasting a couple overtime winners against the Avs at Ball Arena. So
maybe they'll be fat and happy tonight, and the Jets will roll in as a hungry dog. They certainly should be hungry, and they should be playing with desperation and urgency. Listen, as I say, I don't want to go back and relitigate the entire game on Wednesday, but it's going to take their best tonight just to be in this hockey game, and maybe that alone will bring out the best in them tonight, which has been not around enough, and certainly not consistently. By the way, Hammer. Jeff Hamilton in chat. I'm at the front of the Wind City pub for the 1200th episode press conference, but no one is here. Us as usual, seat is warm, though. I'm sure I'll have a press conference or two later on tonight after 8 p.m. when the game starts tonight. Remo, let's take a look at the lineup. As I said, Connor, I think, is going to join us in a couple of minutes, and we'll talk a little bit more about where this team's at right now. And Murat will join us at right in and around 2 p.m. But as always, we fire up our Clean Line Jets lines for today, brought to you by a proud sponsor of the Winnipeg Jets, Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years for commercial and residential plumbing, heating, and electrical, and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets, captain approved. Here we are, the Clean Line lines today. Connor Scheifele Velarde, Baron Lowry Iafallo, Nino Nemetsnikov, and Perfetti. And the third line is Pearson, Taves, and Nyquist, which Mike McIntyre did note. And this is incredible. This line tonight of Pearson, Taves, and Nyquist will be a combined 106 years old with 2,736 combined NHL games of experience. That has to be, right up there with the most experienced lines in NHL history, at least for a game skating together.
Yeah, I don't have numbers on that, but I imagine it would be up there in terms of age and experience. Kind of, Hayden Fleury, nice to see him back from injury, and you like his skating, what he brings in the lineup, and you're going to need that against Colorado. But I'm kind of surprised Cole Koepke is the odd man out, Huss. You like
not the guy I would have pulled out personally.
Yeah, you like his speed. They don't have a lot of it, and you're making this fourth line older and slower on a team that's already the oldest team and the slowest team in the NHL, and you're going up against Nathan. I don't think they're going to match up against the McKinnon line, that fourth line, but Brock Nelson's on a heater. The Avalanche have multiple lines that can score here. So
yeah, we'll get to theirs in a minute. But as Remo mentioned, Hayden Fleury is back in the lineup. He's going to play on the right side with Big Stan on the third pairing, and Samberg, Pionk, Morrissey, and DeMello, expecting Helly to be the starter for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. In case you're wondering on how the Avalanche look going into this game tonight, because it is the first time the Jets are seeing the Avs. Nate Dogg, Nathan McKinnon in the middle of Marty Nakash, who's having a hell of a season in a contract year. Arturi Lekkinen, Brock Nelson, along with Valerie Nichushkin and Gabe Landeskog on line number 2. Ross Colton with Victor Olofsson and Gavin Brindley. And then Jack Drury, Parker Kelly, and Joel Kiviranta right now as the top 12 for the club. Devon Taves and Cale Makar, top pairing. Josh Manson, and for many, this will be their first time seeing Brent Burns in an Avalanche uniform. He's 40 years old or so? He's wearing number 84, by the way. And Sam Girard and Sam Malinsky is the defense core for that group. Logan O'Connor's injured right now. Looks like Wedgwood's ready to return, but we expect Mackenzie Blackwood in the net tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. But the moves for Winnipeg for the clean lines, Koepke out, Pearson in, Schenn out, Fleury in, and thank God Old Faithful's there in the net tonight, because the goaltender is going to be challenged, Remo, taking on Nate McKinnon and this Avalanche team that, as we mentioned, has only lost in regulation twice this season.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. The performance they had on Wednesday, wasn't good enough to beat the Blues, who are out of a playoff spot. It wouldn't be enough to beat Colorado. Connor Hellebuyck stood on his head very early, kept them in it, and they didn't score. We'll see. They didn't practice yesterday. They rested up. Hopefully they were, in hyperbaric chamber, studying up on how to beat this Avalanche team, because it's something not many teams have done in regulation, only lost twice. So we'll see. I haven't looked at the line, Huss. I imagine Colorado a massive, massive favorite. I'm looking at the money puck percentages. They have Colorado at 67.8% chance to win. Cool bet, I imagine. I don't know, minus 200? What does that equal to?
Oh, the line right now.
Oh, minus 250. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it's up to 250 now. Okay,
yeah.
Well, that is growing throughout the day. Jets plus 205 on the money line for this game tonight. So we'll dive into it a little bit more, certainly with Murat, and hopefully at some point over the course of the next hour, whether it is before Murat or after Hacksaw. We'll see what Arnie's got to say once the festivities end at the end of the morning skate. But Reem, there was a little tidbit on 32 Thoughts today about the Winnipeg Jets, and it involved Mason Marchment, which is interesting. Here's what Elliot had to say about the Jets' apparent interest in the Seattle winger.
I've mentioned Mason Marchment's name a couple of times, and I was under the impression it wouldn't happen until Jaden Schwartz got back. There's been some talk that maybe it might. Unfortunately, that's just an experiment that hasn't worked out between the Kraken and Marchment. And I know we're going to talk about Seattle in a couple of minutes a bit more. I think Winnipeg is kind of dipping around in there to see what possibilities exist for it. I don't have specifics, but I think they're at least looking. Suddenly that Central Division's gotten a mite tougher.
So there's Elliot Friedman, Reem, and Mason Marchment. I mean, listen, he's a big guy. He's tough. He's a prick. A definite pain in the ass to play against. Would you want him on your team? Sure. I mean, considering what we've talked about with the lack of production from so many other guys, there'd definitely be a spot in the lineup for him. My concern about Mason Marchment is that he, if I'm not mistaken, is on a 1-year deal. So he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. And as I said yesterday in the conversation with Mike, I don't think I can sign up for trading any picks or frankly, even any real prospects for guys that might only be here to try to save this season and be here. Now, if there's a potential that you could sign them and keep them, longer term, great. I guess the concept is you could make a deal for him right now, and then if things don't improve, trade him again at the deadline, which would be an interesting move. I think a guy like that in and around the deadline with the edge that he plays with is probably something that would be quite attractive to a lot of playoff teams. But the way I look at this roster right now, I mean, again, we kind of went over this yesterday, but I mean, there's an opportunity right now if you're willing to take the chances with putting some veterans on waivers of getting some young guys in, making it more open competition for spots in the lineup, and the results won't be worse. Maybe they'll be better, but at least you're getting some action and traction and, time for some of these younger players to audition for regular roles with the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, where the team is at right now, I mean, this team isn't, there's so many teams in the mix for this final playoff spot. And I kind of think that it's up for the team to earn the opportunity to have their general manager thinking like they were last year about ads to make the team tougher in the playoffs. I mean, to me, that is so far down the line. They got to figure a way to put some wins together. And with the schedule that's coming up and in January, they're really up against it. So any deal that would be made, I'd be looking for younger players, preferably someone with term on their contract that can come in and make the team better right now, sure. But I mean, there is an element, and I know we're not even at the halfway point of the season or the Christmas break yet, but you do have to really think big picture with this team right now, considering the way the first 30 plus have gone.
Yeah, they're currently out of the playoff spot, Huss, and you look at the roster, there's not really anyone you're looking to trade at the deal, or anyone who would be very attractive to other teams at the deadline in terms of unrestricted free agents. The way that the season has gone, find it a bit interesting that you'd be looking to add a player who is a UFA after this season. And you raise an interesting point that, try to salvage things here. And then if it doesn't work, you could always trade them for what you get back. But what are the Jets going to give up? They don't have second-round pick in 26 or 27, and they don't have a fourth-round pick either in 26 or 27. That's kind of what they have given up. And prospects, what are they trying to reunite? Brad Lambert with his uncle who's the head coach? Is that what they kicked around? I have no idea.
If you're trading Brad Lambert, I want a younger player in a similar situation, a guy that, is under team control, that might be able to come in and have a change of scenery, like anyone would be hoping in acquiring Brad Lambert. A change of scenery and a new opportunity might put them in a better position to make an impact with this team. Like, I'm not trading a prospect like Brad Lambert for 50 games of Mason Marchment in the present situation that the team is in. That's kind of where I'm sitting in. Let me throw out why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray to all of you. Does Mason Marchment interest you? And I guess it's more a philosophical thing. How would you feel about the Winnipeg Jets making a deal for an expiring contract right now? Knowing, granted, that, as I mentioned, there's the caveat that if you're out of the playoffs as you get closer to the deadline, you would be able to turn that around and probably recoup some assets to get that. Let us know in the chat. We'll get to some fan feedback for Fans First coming up a little bit later on in the program. There was a little bit more on from Elliot, and again, the freeze goes into effect tonight, Remis, I believe.
Yeah, it said December when I looked it up, December 20. Saturday at 12:01 a.m. So that's technically
midnight tonight.
So I don't know if there's going to be any action at all, but some speculation that someone will want to get something in before the before
let's hear
the freeze.
What Elliot had to say on this. This is also from 32 Thoughts.
So I think Winnipeg is looking around what's available for us. Like someone said to me in the past couple years, we've had trade freezes over Christmas that have been, people have put their phones away at like 2 p.m. This is one where nobody's making me any promises, but they're saying something could happen.
Interesting. Like it's been talked about, the Jonathan Taves experiment. Has it gone perfect? No, but should we be shocked given how much time he's missed? No, also. I can't imagine them completely abandoning that one. You talked about on the radio, a guy like Gus Nyquist.
Yeah.
Hasn't totally been a fit there in Winnipeg either. Just trying to think, as you say, if they're potentially a team that could be around a Mason Marchment, how that all could end up coming together. A couple names out there for the Jets after that was a bad loss for them on Wednesday night in St. Louis after seemingly getting a boost with Hellebuck returning on the weekend. So they got some stuff to figure out there, no question.
Now, if Seattle was interested in the deal is 1-for-1, Gus Nyquist for Mason Marchment, sign me up for that. But I'm not in on any prospects or and listen, the picks. Jets have no second rounders or fourth rounders this year or next. So you're basically talking about your first round pick, which has to be hands off, and even the third rounder as well. I mean, if this doesn't turn around significantly, don't be surprised if at some point they're looking to add picks in this draft, especially knowing that their second round pick, which could be, a top 40 pick, is no longer owned by the Winnipeg Jets. Remo, listen, let me quickly, we got a couple funny clips to play, and then Hammer's going to join us in a couple minutes. But a very big happy holidays to all of you from our friends at Uptown Alley. I popped in there a couple nights ago, and place was just buzzing right now. Great spot to get together with friends and family, especially people that might be in over the holidays for what is guaranteed to be great times at Uptown Alley at 1301 St. Matthews. 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, an absolutely incredible arcade. I'm looking forward to getting you out there, Remo. We got to go head-to-head. We'll make a couple good, fun videos of some head-to-head battles for WST supremacy at Uptown Alley. And then, of course, they've got all those sort of games where you win tickets, you can redeem for great prizes. And food and drink there is absolutely phenomenal. It just blew me away eating there the first time. And what's available when you're doing group parties or events. Pop on down and see him. And don't forget, Uptown Alley gift cards might make a perfect stocking stuffer or present to give the gift of fun this holiday season. 488-0000, uptownalley.ca. Don't forget that great bowl and play special they've got every night after 9 p.m. at Uptown Alley. A very happy holidays to all of you as well, and to our friends at Rolly's Transfer. Obviously, probably not a lot of people moving over the course of the next week, but coming into 2026, if you and your family are on the move, take the stress out of moving or as much as possible with the experts from Rolly's that have been doing it for over 60 years, family owned and operated, and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Head on over to their website at rollies.com and be able to check out all of their services and options. And if you click on request an estimate, put in that promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then fill in when you're planning on moving, where you're going to, what needs to be moved, and the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they are famous for now for into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on Rollies, our great partners and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Rollies.com for more information on all of that. You know, it is crazy outside again. 2 days after that blizzard, and yesterday the city pretty much shut down. We got another clipper going on. It is white, white, white. And speaking of white, you need to get those teeth white or take care of your teeth. That's a call you make to Dr. Terry and our friends at St. Vital Dental Center, serving generations of Manitobans with a full service of dental availability, from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. St. Vital Dental Center has been doing it for decades and now have a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and, of course, convenient free parking right behind the building. And Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff waiting to take care of you and your family. If it's been a minute since you've been to the dentist or you're looking for a great home for you and your family, make it St. Vital Dental Center. You can find out more online at stvitaldental.ca. Pop down there and tell them that the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And just before we get to hammer in a couple minutes and a couple more clips that'll, I think, have a good laugh for you, big cheers to our friends at Canadian Club at this time of the year. They will remind all of you to have a wonderful and safe holidays and absolutely do not even consider drinking and driving. But if you are enjoying a few libations, why don't you mix in the limited edition Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale, perfect for the holidays. Pre-mixed cocktails in cans. You can get the 4-packs at Manitoba Liquor Marts, and keep your eyes out for the 473 milliliter version when you're picking up a rack of beers at your local vendor, because they're available at vendors throughout the year as well. It's the great taste of Canada's iconic Canadian whiskey, Canadian Club, along with cranberry and ginger ale, perfect for the holidays, available now. So pick it up before you get festive over the course of the next few days. All right, Hammer's going to join us in just a few minutes. You know, I know it seems bad right now, and, you know, we've seen some different reactions from Scott Arniel, angry, dejected, disappointed. Unfortunately, he's had to, kind of play all of those cards. Craig Berube has had it with the Toronto Maple Leafs. They get shut out last night. They weren't very good. And it did seem like the guy they call the Big Chief was not having it last night. Check out Craig Berube on last night's Leaf game.
To me, they played with more passion than we did tonight. I mean, that's what it boils down to. It looked to me like they had way more urgency in their game, more passion in their game. That's the difference.
How do you explain that, considering where you are at the stadium?
Ask those guys, not me.
Ask those guys, not me, Reem. And, I use the term urgency, desperation quite a bit. That it has seemed like it's been lacking in the Jets game on many nights. Berube went straight to the passion. And I know that's, if you want to call it a synonym or not. Bottom line is the Leafs have looked listless. The Jets at times have as well. And both of these teams have really been underwhelming as we get closer to it. But, man, he was pulling no punches last night. And it's a great quote for shows like ours.
Yeah, certainly a lot of frustration there with Toronto, who's had so much success the last couple of years. They lose Mitch Marner and replace him with a bunch of spare parts, and they're 8th in the wild card. I mean, 1 point ahead of last place. It's not going well in Toronto, and Craig Berube seemingly out of answers, and a lot of questions as well this week about Austin Matthews. I mean, he's still on a 40-goal pace, but not quite the 70-goal pace from before. They're tracking on the broadcast like how often, or like they're keeping track of the time in the game the puck is on his stick. The microscope is out in Toronto, and it's not going well, and we'll see where this leads for them, Huss.
By the way, D. Cochran, does anyone know I can correct my name on chat? Somehow it changed.
It's Randy, yeah.
It's a YouTube. Oh, that's Randy D?
Randy, yeah, Dukerin. Yeah, that's Randy.
What up, D. Randy? Hey, Randy, Hammer's joining us right away. Perfect time to remind everyone, next Monday, 8 p.m., your next chance to qualify for the Costa Rica finals, 8 p.m. We'll do a little holiday tourney, and then last chance Wednesday, January 7th. Listen, before we bring in Hammer, we got to play one more clip. And this is, as anyone that has been in front of a microphone for a long time, this one can give you some chills. You always got to be careful what you're saying in front of a microphone. Tim Saunders, the play-by-play voice of the Flyers, I believe, caught on a hot mic last night against Buffalo. Listen to this.
Sometimes the Flyers get a sense of urgency when they're playing from behind. Now they're going to take the TV timeout. We'll take it as well. 7 gone in the third. It's 3-2 Buffalo on the Philadelphia Flyers Broadcast Network. Pump it up, it up, it up, it up. While you're down there, would you mind blowing me?
I think we're still on the air, Tim. No, we're not, are we?
Oh, Tim. Oh, Tim. The Flyers have made a statement on this today. We are aware of the inappropriate comment made during last night's radio broadcast in the TV timeout of the Flyers-Sabres game. These remarks do not reflect the standards of conduct or values we expect from anyone associated with our organization. Effective immediately, the Flyers, along with our radio partners, 97.5 The Fanatic, have issued a 2-game suspension while we address this matter with all parties involved. We take this matter very seriously and sincerely apologize to our listeners, fans, and all those affected by these comments. The hot mic gets another one, Remo. I don't know whether this will be a very Merry Christmas for old Tim Saunders, unfortunately for Tim.
Yeah, Tim's been the broadcaster for the Flyers for a long time, and I'm going through the chat. I'll go by Bardot. Says, who amongst us hasn't made the same joke? Being caught on a hot mic is unlucky. And as someone who has operated a game radio broadcast before, that is always your biggest fear. And I guess the guy forgot to hit the next button to fire up the commercials or fell asleep at the wheel. Literally, I'm not sure. Unfortunate
You've done that
timing.
a million times.
Yeah, I've for sure have done that. I got
well,
some
I
good
think
stories.
I got earlier. Now, listen, as an angel here, as someone that is, I don't think ever said anything inappropriate in my entire life, I did get busted with I believe, a 4-letter word on the stream that I was not intending on having broadcast earlier this week. That I did. Now, we didn't have to do a notes apology or anything like that for it, but.
Yeah.
Anyways, Tim Saunders. I mean, listen, there is some stuff that, like, listen, I always say it. You don't say anything that you wouldn't say in private, publicly. But that was, I mean, obviously it was a dumb joke, but for a guy that's been in the business that long, you got to feel for him, and I'm sure he's freaking out, and we'll see.
Wasn't that bad? It was. He tried to make a joke with someone who was there. It's unfortunate. It was not for broadcast. It could have been way worse. And we're on the hot mic all the time. Thankfully for us, it's just us setting up what clips are going to be played next. Only business related.
Yeah, this isn't Tom Brenneman, and they're with Castellanos with a long fly ball to left field or anything like that. Hey, let's bring in our pal Jeff Hamilton for a few minutes. Murat coming up at the top of the hour for an extra holiday visit. Obviously, a shorter week next week. We figured we'd get Hammer in today to talk about Tommy Condell and the recent signings of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for a few minutes before we get back to the Jets. Hammer, I'm glad you are back from the press conference. I pushed that back to later on tonight. More convenient to do it in and around the game. Reem, I think you got the echo on. If you can tweak that up. So listen, a busy week for the Bombers. The two hometown boys get signed and some pretty big money for both of them. But the biggest question, I think, outside of the roster is who's going to be guiding the offense. And we found out yesterday it is Tommy Condell. Take us behind the search and what Condell brings to the Bomber offense.
I was wondering where this was going, Huss, when you teed up the interview with Mr. Saunders hot mic. I was like, well, are we going to go into Bombers, Jets, or did you want me to comment on what I woke up to this morning? I was doing the Google machine. I think of things. I don't know. Maybe it's best I don't leave a comment on this, and we just move on to the recent hiring of Tommy Condell, which to me, Huss, was very predictable. Right. I mean, Tommy Condell, as many people know, was well reported, has a history with Zach Collaros. Obviously, their time together in Hamilton. Zach has spoke glowingly about Tommy Condell, even during his time in Winnipeg. Not a lot of quotes to it, just more off air stuff. I'm convinced it was Zach Collaros that got Tommy Condell hired in Ottawa. To take over that offense with Drew Brown coming in, right? So I think it was, Zach was a big proponent of Tommy Condell and a big advocate for Drew Brown and saw that marriage being a big one. And then, of course, I think he's the exact reason for why Tommy Condell is hired here in Winnipeg. And I think it makes some sense. Some interesting things about Mr. Condell, including his seemingly, disdain, I would go as far to the run game, but that might change things, obviously, with Brady Oliveira re-upping and the talent that he brings. Tommy Condell, and we used to joke about it a lot on CFL 110, was how many times Drew Brown was going to throw the ball in a single game, right? The passing props were obvious picks week to week, with a Tommy Condell-led offense. How's that going to translate to Winnipeg? We'll have to wait and see here, but I do think it's somebody who, maybe Mike O'Shea. I don't know the relationship between Tommy Condell and Mike O'Shea specifically, but we do know how important it is for Mike O'Shea to trust people in his building, right? We know how challenging it's been for him to make a decision. We've talked about this the last couple times I was on, even earlier this week. I was fearing that we wouldn't maybe get the information, that announcement. So, I do think when you look at his hiring here, it's smart in that you bring in an experienced guy, someone who is much different, obviously, than Jason Hogan when it comes to an experience level. And when you take into consideration all of last year and the headaches that rose with Hogan at the helm of the offense, bringing in an experienced guy like Tommy Condell, who has a good relationship with the quarterback, who has the experience in the league, is going to prevent some of those major issues from reoccurring this upcoming season. So in that way, I think it is really interesting. I think it's a good move for the most part. But Tommy Condell hasn't exactly been a world beater either on offense, and he really hasn't been great since being with Zach Collaros. I think you can make that argument. So it will be interesting. I do think it's a good marriage given the personnel they have, but it feels it just, and I don't want to say forced, but it feels almost too predictable, right? It feels like, with Mike O'Shea given full control of who was going to take over the offense, he went with an inexperienced guy and he fell flat on his face. Now he's going with an experienced guy who knows his quarterback. It seems to me that Mike's learned from his mistakes, from last season and is hoping that they don't reoccur this year, obviously under Condell in the offense.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, Mike's, an incredibly experienced CFL now coach, former player. Tommy Condell's been around before. I mean, there is an element of wanting to bring someone in that has plenty of experience with the CFL offense. And the connection with Zach Collaros is important. I mean, you want to have your quarterback signed up for the guy. You want to have him confident that he'll be bringing ideas and working with you in a way that will make the offense click. And again, we can talk about the running game, the passing game. You know what offensive guys want? They want points. And as much as you may have tendencies in the past, the job is to work with your personnel to give you the best chance to score a touchdown every time you get there. And I imagine they'll all be definitely on the same page with that. What does this mean for Jason Hogan?
It's a great question. Like I mean,
other than he's not the offensive coordinator, is he still with the Bombers?
They haven't, is he still going to be with the Bombers? I think that's a big question. I think in most situations, in maybe every single one but the Mike O'Shea-led Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the answer would probably be he's not with the organization. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot of men in football. I shouldn't say this as like a general thing, but I'd like to think it's true that doesn't really take demotions, right? Like doesn't have a position and then goes, okay, well, you can stay with us, but you're not going to be in the similar situation. Now, there's precedent for that, right? Here in Winnipeg with Richie Hall and Jordan Younger, but it was probably a lot easier. Maybe not, but it seems like it's a bit easier for a Richie Hall to kind of say, okay, like I understand the risk of losing Jordan Younger, a guy who's been with this team, who's, who has a major impact with this defense, who has a relationship with these players. I don't really want, I'm going to take one for the team so that we can keep Jordan Younger here. We can, and I'll help out in ways that I can, right? I can kind of park the ego, if you will, and then, take a lesser role, allowing somebody to come in. I've been doing this job for a very long time. I have, I guess, I don't have the bruised ego here. I have the resume, right? Jason Hogan doesn't have that. So Jason Hogan would be sitting in a room kind of being like, speak when spoken to after being the guy leading the conversations. I just don't know how that would make much sense. And to be quite frank with you, Huss, it wasn't just Jason Hogan that was the issue with the offensive coaching staff. It went down to the helpers and the receivers coach and so I think it's a clean sweep. Like if this organizations to be taken seriously, and if we're led to believe anything which is true about the issues with Jason Hogan, particularly when it came to the players, like the players have no trust in Jason Hogan. So to have him back in the room, to have him part of the conversations, to have him working with the players in a lesser capacity seems really Mickey Mouse for an organization who's supposed to be setting the bar for the Canadian Football League. So nothing personal against Jason Hogan, but like this idea of hiring essentially a quarterback's mentor and then having, the old OC for just one season for a guy who really hasn't done much in this league to be sticking around and kind of kicking a bear seems interesting to me.
He was the running backs coach and apparently had a great relationship with Brady Oliveira, and Brady Oliveira said, wanted to be coached more. I mean, if the path was simply going back to the running backs coach position, would that, I mean, listen, as I say, I mean, and I'll disagree. I mean, I think people will always take the Winnipeg Blue Bombers seriously because of how successful they've been. I wasn't saying they shouldn't be taking them seriously. I said if, a serious organization wouldn't kind of keep dead weight around is what I'm suggesting. I guess the bottom line is he maybe got his promotion to the new role prematurely or didn't get the job done. But, I mean, he, by all accounts, went from the running back position to the offensive coordinator. Obviously, some good things has happened there. Would that be a possibility, and would that make sense? Again, no, I don't think so at all. Like that's what I mean. Like it's like that's what I mean about being a professional organization. Like
this is a business. Like it's like the offense and Jason Hogan had a massive disconnect for a majority of the season, and Mike sat on his hands all year and didn't do anything about it. This is the biggest move you could argue that Mike O'Shea has made to his personnel since he's arrived in Winnipeg. He gave a guy 1 year, right? A guy who he ultimately panic promoted. Right? Like he didn't have an answer, didn't have anybody who he felt he could trust in the room, felt like he had a rising star. I think you can make the argument because of such a big promotion, right? Like Jason Hogan was the running backs coach. He wasn't the running backs coach and a previous OC for another team and, dabbled in here. He was with Quebec High School before this. And that actually kind of became a running joke with him about his highest level of coaching prior to the CFL was a high school team in Quebec. So the thing that's interesting, Huss, and why I think it's going to be fascinating when we do find, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do finalize their coaching staff, is how much, we know how important loyalty is to Mike O'Shea. So is his loyalty actually going to hit a range where he feels so loyal to Jason Hogan that he'll make him like an assistant or go back to a running backs coach or whatever and still have that voice? Really the biggest negative piece of offense all last season hovering around. Like the issue here, Huss, and I said this, on CFL 110 and last year as we were getting to the end of the season and moves were going to be made, is that, Jason Hogan probably doesn't have a lifeline anywhere else, right? Like he probably isn't going to another CFL team and getting another job. So that's probably the thing that Mike O'Shea is thinking. Have I put this guy in a position that he couldn't succeed? And have I ended any kind of opportunities for him at the CFL in the future? I mean, that might be something that's weighing on his mind right now, but you're coming off one of your worst seasons in years now. And is that really need to be the priority? Is the feelings of an inexperienced OC who didn't live up to expectations last year? In my mind, that just can't be top of line business.
How important would Brady Oliveira's voice be in all of this?
Maybe important, but here's the thing. Brady Oliveira, the way I understand it to be is Jason Hogan will be in this guy's life forever. Like the impact that he's made on him as a human, as a player, is notable. But if you were to go with the group of players who were frustrated with usage, play calling, and time, Brady Oliveira might have been at the top of the list. So it's not like Brady Oliveira is asking for a lifeline for his friend. I think he understands that he's in a business. And I'm not necessarily saying that Brady Oliveira is advocating for Jason Hogan to lose his job, but I also don't think he's at the front of the line saying, let's redo this thing. Because I don't think there was a more frustrated player on offense last year than Brady Oliveira, given his usage, right? He was pretty open about that by the end of the year about, that relationship being what it is. But behind kind of closed doors, there's a lot of frustration because what Brady Oliveira wants more than anything is to win games. And the Bombers weren't doing that at the clip that they were used to. So while friendships and those relationships that you form over a career matter, whether it's a teammate or a coach, it doesn't take precedent over, the good of the team. And I think anybody who was around the Bombers last year or watched them knows that they needed a new voice on offense, and having players who were part of that group of wanting change to be advocating for him now, I just don't see it being something that's possible.
Obviously, Nick Dembski got re-signed. Not surprised at all. What did you think of the number? Was it 230?
Yeah, I think it was 230 and up to 245 in the second deal. I think that's great for Nick. I think obviously they want to have the salary cap's gone up. There's rumors or buzz that it might go up again after they do another financial audit. If we are led to believe the direction the league is trending, I could see not necessarily a massive increase on the salary cap, but I can see an increase on the salary cap nonetheless. Plus the one that I don't think any team really honored last year when they propped it up during that legal tampering week. That will be interesting, Huss, when they announce the teams as they do. Those that went over the salary cap, if there are going to be any, given the new salary cap number that we found out later into the offseason last year. So, but as far as I feel like I'm off the question, Huss. Where did I need to go back to?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like the money of Dembski. And
sorry, money of Dembski. So like him getting, like, you saw Brady's contract. It went up to $300,000. I think a lot of, it's interesting to hear Brady talk about how he could get more from other places. That's possible, but that was a big move by Winnipeg to dip in. And I would classify this signing, Huss, as on par with that. Not obviously on par with dollars and cents, but on par with paying, like really dipping into the bag and paying your in this case homegrown stars, right? Nick Dembski's been a great player, right? He's now at what, 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons after not having any for the years to begin his career. A lot of that, though, Huss, has been a result of players being injured, right? Dalton Schoen being out for a majority of the season. Nick Dembski rockets to number 1. Carrick Wheatfall was out for spells of the season. Like, there were weeks that Nick Dembski was really the only, if you want, I don't want to say viable option. They obviously are all, mostly viable options, but was really your impact receiver, right?
The one most consistent, reliable guy for sure in the room.
The thing too, though, Huss, though, is I think that's a little high. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, you think about where the receivers need to be for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2026. Nick Dembski needs to be your 3rd best receiver, right? Like, if you think about where this team, like when the Bombers are making the Grey Cup, Dembski's their 3rd best receiver. So to me, like, that's a pretty hefty, price tag. I do think that whether it's Oliveira's contract or Dembski's contract, I do think that Wade Miller is a smart guy. Obviously, I think when you look at with kind of the questions that were hovering over Mike O'Shea and it seemed to rile up the fan base. I think when you look at the 2 homegrown guys, you wanted to inject some good news into it. And I'm not saying that he's thinking this way, but they're not dummies, man. I mean, the Jets aren't doing well right now. The Bombers need to get into the news, right? They need to get into the news cycle. Remember the Bombers, right? So I do think that this is a way to kind of appease to the fans. But I do think while Brady's is certain, like, both are high up there. Brady's, at being in his late 20s and being a guy who's been the guy in Winnipeg now for a few years, it makes a lot of sense. And I do like the Dembski contract. I just do wonder in a year's time if 240, for an aging receiver is going to make sense. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
watch Nick Dembski see that and shove it down my pipe by putting up a 1,200-yard season
next year,
right?
and another 16 touchdowns.
That would be great.
Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you Monday night, and we'll see who else is joining the fray for the final for the Costa Rica tournament on January 12th. Thanks for doing this, Hammer.
Yeah, I look forward to, my friend. Congratulations on the 1,200 episode, on the 5 million hits on YouTube.
Who knew?
Whatever that means, that's awesome stuff. I think it's to be a small part of this machine you guys have going is it's really cool. So great to see you guys. Great to see you guys getting the rewards you deserve, and happy holidays again for the second time this week. To everybody who's out there, happy holidays and have a safe holiday.
Good stuff. Watch out for the Bounty Hunters Monday night. There's Jeff Hamilton, 3-time champion of the WST poker tourney. And he will join us on Monday for the next tourney for the Costa Rica qualifier. All right, we're going to get back to the Jets. Murat is locked and loaded and ready to go. Do want to wish a very happy holidays to all of you from our friends at Princess Auto. Of course, synonymous with Winnipeg, headquartered and founded right here in the Peg, but now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is always waiting for you at Princess Auto. And with the holidays upon us right now, you can pop in on Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, or out in Brandon for the best deals or to get some of the most unique gift ideas around. You can also jump online to princessauto.com and get those wheels spinning, or order simply online and get those great deals from princessauto.com. We will have an NFL power poll for Chud's Power Sports, and last night's game might have shaken things up a little bit. Of course, the Chuds folks aren't thinking as much about NFL as they are about all the snow that's falling right now, just in time for Christmas. And of course, Chuds in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231 have been the power sports superstore in Manitoba for over 80 years. And if you're thinking about sleds, snowmobiles, timber sleds. What about ATVs, UTVs, Argos, Sasquatches, ice houses, everything to make your winter pop and max out on the everything that the Winnipeg and Manitoba winter has to offer. Chuds has you covered with the best deals in the province. Make sure to get up to Chuds in Gimli or check them out at chudspowersports.com for all the great deals and offers and holiday must-haves this December. And, of course, in particular, great deals on Polaris and Arctic Cat sleds as the snow continues to come down. And just before we bring in Murat, let's see if we can get a booster pack from Manitoba Battery for this hockey club tonight in Denver. Manitoba Battery, of course, is your go-to local option for the best prices in town on batteries, bar none, beating the pants off the big box stores with the best customer service in town and 2 locations to serve you, Logan Avenue and Dover Court Drive. Of course, they've got the Power Up for Christmas promo right now with great deals, including $5 to $10 off all Power Sport batteries, $10 to $20 off booster packs, the $99 ice fishing flasher combo, 12-foot booster cables under $20, and gift cards as well to give the gift of power this Christmas. It's all waiting for you at Manitoba Battery. See them in store or shop online at manitobabattery.com. All right, let's welcome in Murat of The Athletic, who has much to be thankful for this holiday season, including, I guess, a hockey team that's giving you plenty of things to write about right now. Murat, what's going on? Best of the season to you, my friend.
And to you. What a treat. What a treat to hang out with you here today. And, you know, I got a full platter of food behind me. Had the, we're not married, but I'll say father-in-law over last night for some festivities and all that. So it's a good time overall in life. Is it a good time for the hometown hockey team? Not so much. I expected a much bigger push from them Wednesday against St. Louis. Couldn't impose themselves to the point of scoring a single goal. Bit of a trend there. We've talked about that an awful lot, especially coming out of a game against Ottawa. They dropped points all of a sudden, and they've got Colorado in a few hours. So, you know, the bluster outside my window right now might not be the only Winnipeg-related bluster we see today.
Hey, just quickly before we get into this, how is, and can you please, from all of us at Winnipeg Sports Talk, pass not only to Haley, but as well your famous father-in-law, Mr. Penner. How's he doing around the holidays right now? Full of cheer, I would imagine.
Yeah, joy levels are high. Sunday he had a concert, Fred Penner's Christmas show at Burton Cummings, and that was a full house. You had people of all generations singing along to his songs and the Christmas medleys and the awesome. Cat in the Hat, or Cat Came Back, pardon me. And Haley was one of 4 siblings on stage doing backup singing because, you know, they know all the songs.
So good.
They have all the bits. There's like a Silver Bells thing with that they do. Anyway, it's a whole scene. It's a very wholesome and sweet world. And he did mention, yes, one of my backup singers is pregnant and expecting a baby in the not too distant future. So thanks for that. And yeah, big times around here.
Well, okay, glad. I mean, I know that it was, I guess, out there, but again, huge congratulations to you. Did it privately, but everyone here incredibly excited for both of you. And what a great gift that will be coming up in 2026. Speaking of the backup singers, what are the chances of the son-in-law being breaking out slapping the bass at next year's Fred Penner Christmas concert?
You know what? It's funny. Haley keeps maybe not for a Fred Penner show. I might not have the chops, but she keeps bugging me like, hey, you know, if this happens, if that happens, I need you playing bass. And I always joke, I don't have those skills. I've learned some cool songs, but I don't have it. And she's the one trying to make sure it happens.
Maybe a duo project. You could be like the White Stripes of Winnipeg or something like that. Wouldn't that be? Wouldn't it be cool? Well, we'll plan musical projects aside. I know you've got your hands full right now covering this hockey team, and I had to laugh because you were reading my mind with your piece earlier this week, coming out of the weekend. Are the Jets good again? or already hopeless, a debate with myself. And listen, for those of us that cover the team so closely and, are not just watching it in a bubble of right now, you can't help but think of some of the real positive things we've seen from many of the players on this team right now that are basically drowning in quicksand. And, I think back to the grades that, we talked about through 25 games. And if you told me that Hellebuck would be amazing and Scheifele and Connor and Morrissey and Velarde would be doing what they are, it would be pretty much inconceivable that the team would be where they are in the standings with the seeming black cloud around them. But Murat, it was on display in spades in St. Louis on Wednesday that there is not a lot going on outside of a few bright spots for this team, and it is being reflected in the standings, a standing situation that gets more dire by the day and the loss.
Yeah, every single day that they fail to make ground is just building a bigger mountain to try to climb for the Winnipeg Jets, to give points away against Ottawa, to come out so flatly against St. Louis. And I don't know if everybody out there feels this way, but it seems like Colorado's a heavy favorite going into tonight's game. So it is a tough time in Winnipeg. And here's what I'll put to you. When Scott Arniel can say we gave up 8 scoring chances on a single shift, and you look at who was on the ice, the Winnipeg Jets top line, and you think to yourself, well, geez, these are the only guys scoring. So what, was it 25 minutes some of those guys played against St. Louis because the Jets were that desperate for offense? Well, now you're running into problems because the guys who are getting carved in a really dangerous way defensively can look you in the eye and honestly tell you without a trace of dishonesty, we're the only ones who are scoring right now. So where does this team go from here when there's a risk of bad habits becoming horrible ones? If there's a shift that can be extended to chase offense or not, what grounds do you have on the Winnipeg Jets bench to say, hey, we need you at 45 seconds, at 30 seconds, because we need to get something else going? And your player can look you in the eye and say, well, we are the only things going. So that's a problem right now for the Winnipeg Jets. On the flip side of that, because they are the only ones going, you're also running the risk of wasting some incredible seasons from those same players. The Jets have one solution right now. It's those guys. It's Connor. It's Scheifele. It's Velarde. He's scored a lot of goals since he's gotten going. It's Josh Morrissey. And if you can lean on those guys and not win, you're in real trouble territory. It's and you're at risk of creating a situation that gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and I mean, that sort of has felt like we've had this conversation a few times over the course of the last 6 weeks or so, and you'll see a game like Saturday, which, I mean, leaving the rink, the fans needed it so badly, but man, the team did as well. And I mean, I had a lot of time for the way they played against Ottawa. Good teams probably finish the job and get the 2 points, and obviously they gave up a late one and didn't win in overtime, and all of those points add up at the end of the year. But it's really the regulation losses that will kill you. And then you see a game like Wednesday, where at times they would go long stretches of doing not much at all, leaning on Connor Hellebuck to keep them in the game, which he did. And then still not able to make anything happen, which of course begs the question, Murat. What can they do? And I know there's a movement embargo or whatever today at midnight. So I mean, let's kind of more assume we're in the same situation coming out of the Christmas break, looking to have a different look. I mean, it is my opinion that I realize that any sort of trades being made right now are either guys that are signed and either potentially have clauses not to be traded, or guys that are part of that core that you don't want. And other than that, a large group of players that probably his value is as low as it would be conceivably when you're making a deal. there are players within this organization on a Moose team that's playing well that I think you could argue that would certainly give the team at least as good a chance to win, and there'd be other tangible benefits. Competition in the lineup, opportunity to see some young players, and maybe getting a boost from them. Is it time when, and again, assuming this isn't right now, but how close do you think they are to probably going the only direction that they really have to right now, and that is waiving a player or two, opening up a roster spot, bringing up a couple players from the Manitoba Moose, letting them play, and if they play well enough to stay in the lineup, great. If not, well, there's another guy to come in and see if they can make a difference.
You're going to think this is insane, but I think they're miles from that. I think that is a distant bell.
You're correct. I do think that's insane.
It's December 19th. Trade deadline is March 6th. And you have Cheveldayoff talking about the answers are in the room kind of deal. And now you hear rumblings that they're poking around. And, you know, I'm not Elliot Friedman, who said this on his podcast today, but poking around Mason Marchment, that's something that I've heard might be of interest as well. And I think if you're the Winnipeg Jets looking at this season, if you want fire and brimstone from me today, I don't have it. I'm trying to make plays. Okay, I'm trying to make plays for the Winnipeg Jets. And here's what I see. I see a really good top line. I see a bottom 9 that's not scoring. I see a top 4 you can believe in the right minutes. A bottom pair, Luke Schenn, I don't believe in right now at the NHL level. I think he's getting beat too often. But you have good pieces on defense, and you have Connor Hellebuck in goal. So I think one of Winnipeg's plays before it goes the route you're describing, which may be inevitable, to be clear. I'm not saying that's not where the season is going, because I don't know. But I think with this amount of time, you may see Winnipeg reach out and try to acquire a mid-tier veteran, something that it can say, hey, we gave you something. We showed you a little bit of belief, and it ideally won't cost a first-round pick. It won't cost a second-round pick. Marchment is a good example because Kraken got him for a 3rd and a 4th. Winnipeg has its own 3rd and 5th this year. That's possibly workable. And I think Winnipeg may go that type of route, whether it's Marchment who works out or otherwise, and then look at the Olympic break as a little bit more of a deadline. Because as far back as they are, as low as the odds seem, as bad as this week has felt, there is still racetrack left. They think they're a win now team. They think that if you get into the playoffs, you got a chip in a chair. So they're not cutting bait yet. I think that there may be a little bit of a tweak in that form before they go to bring in the youngsters and say, hey, we're thinking about the future, because Luke Schenn's played 39 games for the Winnipeg Jets. Elias Salomonsson, we hope he plays 1,000, right? Like, I don't know that that's today, no matter what it feels like today.
How dire do you think it will get for them to change course? I mean, and I guess I've got some time for what you said. I mean, this isn't a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 5 years. I mean, they were very, very good last year, and it's frankly been stunning to see how far off of it they are, but they're a different team. I mean, Nikolai Ehlers isn't around to drive that second line. No one at all has stepped up, and many players have regressed in the meantime. And the standings are what they are. I mean, the Jets are 5 back right now. St. Louis and Utah in front of them. They do have games in hand on the teams in front of them, but still not enough to, even if you won those games, to be in a playoff spot. And the math right now, especially unless this team goes on a winning streak, continues to get worse because of the less track left on the road. Is it more like, you know, like the going through another month? Like, it is important to note that the month of January is a huge month for the team on home ice. You know, they've got, I think there's 2 like 1-day road trips, but for the better part of the month, they are at home at the Canada Life Center. Is it to basically stay the course, hope that maybe something can, you know, be like, whether it's a Marchment deal or something like that, can come in and give a bit of a spark and basically just get very different results doing similar things with the same unit?
It's exactly that. And there is, like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, not getting results and keep continuing, right? And you can point to things Winnipeg has not tried, maybe splitting Connor and Scheifele to try to drive 2 lines. You can point to all sorts of, they go back to the same well and same well and same well and say, okay, well, these guys are hooped, right? And it may be that by the end of January, they have not moved the standings an inch, right? It may be that they're still chasing teams. They're not giving us a lot right now to show that they're capable of making that surge. At the same time, you still have that little gentle small piece of racetrack left, and you have Connor Hellebuck in goal. You may wait for a chip in a chair to see if there's anything possible to put together over this stretch. I look at those standings that you just pulled up, and if you look at probably the teams in a wild card spot right now, and 3 or 4 teams past that, including Winnipeg, there's some similar goal differentials. There's some similar metrics in some ways. You might say any of them are reasonably wild card teams. Winnipeg's starting from so far back that I feel that the odds are against them. You asked me today, I don't think they're on track to make the playoffs. That's a tough thing to say. And they have a moment for a miracle to play out. And then all of this stuff that I'm saying only works if, when that Olympic break happens, when you see March 6th trade deadline around the corner, they have the courage to cut bait if their bets still haven't worked. And that's a whole separate conversation. This only works if you can read the room correctly when you have run out of racetrack, and that may still come.
We played the clip from Elliott on the Jets' potential interest in a Mason Marchment. And I guess I have time for that. I mean, if they can get a player like that to come in on a price that makes sense, for sure. I mean, as we've said before, much like calling guys up, I mean, you're looking for something different, and it's been pretty dry. Hard to imagine it couldn't be a positive, but it is the cost. And I mean, to me right now, Murat, with where the team is, having already traded their 2nd and 4th picks in the next 2 drafts, you can't even think about moving that 1st round pick. And even when you get into the 3rds or players that are in the organization, like, I'm not sure there's a lot of wisdom in moving any of those assets that might be with you that can help you once the 82-game regular season is finished for a player on an expiring contract that in all likelihood will be a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very precious about a 1st or a 2nd. I'm not as precious once you hit the 3rd and beyond in terms of selling those picks for players. And part of that is because I've just sat down with Capitals GM Chris Patrick, and I went through all the moves that they made and how common it is for that organization to have moved picks for players and players for picks and constantly gotten on the right end of that deal. So for me, if you're trading, I keep making this as the price. I don't know it. A 3rd and a 5th for Mason Marchment, and this doesn't work. And now you're heading into the trade deadline, and there are some clear contenders and non-contenders, and you need to shop. You need to move on, or recognize that you haven't made it happen this year. Well, then I'm looking at all those pending free agents, including Marchment, as players to move. And maybe you've gotten him going a little bit. Maybe teams that are committed to winning a little bit further down the stretch, with more of his cap being eaten up because you've paid part of it for a month, are willing to pay you essentially what you gave up, maybe even a little bit more. You also have several other pending unrestricted free agents this season, including bets that haven't worked out, like Jonathan Taves, like Gustav Nyquist, like Tanner Pearson, that may be of interest to playoff teams. You even have pending UFAs for next season. And if you want to stretch out to the Hayden Fleury's or Logan Stanley's and Vladislav Nemestikov, Nino Niederreiter, who may yet return assets for future versions of this team. And then you have to have the courage of your convictions to use those picks because you're a win now team and acquire the right veterans after just acquiring the wrong ones this offseason. There's a lot of work in that. But when I talk about it being worth acquiring a player and waiting and seeing for a moment before cutting ties, that's the kind of thinking that I'm talking about.
It's funny as it pertains to the wild card race, in that I think we can all agree. I mean, it would take some sort of insane 180 on both parts for either Minnesota, Dallas, or Colorado not to be in the top 3 of that Central Division, which leaves the Jets in wild card territory. We've seen the Oilers now get their act together, as they always do at this time. They're now into the top 3, which is the LA Kings. 5 games above 500, kind of comfortably in that first wild card, which means that these are the teams that are battling for wild card 2. San Jose, Utah, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Chicago, and then, it would take a run, but Calgary, Seattle, Nashville, and Vancouver sort of below there, but not really that far away. Like, when you look at that group, it kind of explains why, as dire as it feels right now for Jet fans who are pulling their hair out watching this team kind of perform far below their expectations, and I'm sure the exact same way for management, you can look at that, and when you pull up the playoff odds, it's not like the Jets are sitting there at 10%, but a lot of that leans on the body of work that came into this season that, frankly, we really haven't seen enough outside of some early season wins against some of the bottom feeding teams in the league that helped prop up that great record that looked so good, despite the fact that there were some signs in the way that they'd been playing that it probably wasn't sustainable, especially when you crank up the level of opponent.
Yeah, the Jets playoff odds are not nearly as dire as the commentary would suggest, but those odds are calculated based on models, and they look at the most recent couple of seasons, the most recent 2 to 3 years worth of performance. And to use Dom's model at The Athletic as an example, as of today, well, what do you think the playoff odds for Winnipeg are? 50%. Would you believe it? That is not give up territory. But if you want to dig under the hood for that, it's because it's looking at performance of these individual players for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Most recent is weighted most heavily because that's more predictive. It's there, but it also includes a really strong belief in Connor Hellebuck, who is part of the team, despite the 5-on-5 play being miserable at times. And it also includes a look at the quality of competition and the assessment that the rest of the Western Conference's bottom half isn't that good. That group of teams that you listed, who, from a certain perspective, it's embarrassing that we're talking about the Winnipeg Jets in that group of teams, but they're not such obvious world beaters that it would be insane to think Winnipeg could pass them and land in a wild card spot and be first round fodder for Colorado or whomever.
Well, that last bit of what you just said to me is key, because even if the team can go on, a run and, get ahead of the Blues and the Sharks in Utah, you're basically going up against this team that we're going to see tonight. Maybe they can pull off a little Christmas miracle and give everybody some hope that, hey, just wait. For whatever reason, they play really well against those guys. But I do wonder, for a team that was focused on this year and making another run and hopefully being a much better team in the playoffs, which really felt like what they were doing in the off season, the problem is you got to get to the playoffs first, as they've always said in the past. And right now, they're not in a great spot to do that. I do wonder at what point you read the tea leaves of this season and whether it would even happen based on how committed they are to their core and the group and what they were hoping to do it this year, and realize that, all right, we could pay a price to get this guy and maybe that gets us there. But how much is 2 playoff dates worth at the arena based on the big picture? Like, I do wonder, at what point do you take a step back from looking at this season as the focus to, okay, we got to reevaluate things a little bit more in terms of the next 2 and 3 years that we've got this core locked in Winnipeg?
Well, you should already be thinking about that. There should be timelines in the GM's office that are talking about next year and the year after.
And granted, I'm sure that there are. I'm not saying that they're just completely blindly looking at the next game and the standings like a lot of fans do. But you know what I'm saying, as far as the priority. It seems like it's been this year, and I don't think we're too far off as the priority becoming, hey, it would be great if we can do some stuff this year, but we need to think more about, we've had some failed swings and misses on some things that happened this summer. How do you change that and put the team in a much better situation moving forward the minute this regular season is over?
Yeah, that's the note they should be singing right now. That's the tune of the moment. But part of that, in my opinion, is that it's 2.5 months until deadline day. And what they're all in on is a core that is Scheifele, that is Morrissey, that is Hellebuck, that is Kyle Connor, right? Gabriel Velarde to a certain extent. There are other players in this as well. And one of the tragedies is not the right word, but one of the tragedies of this season, one of the great pains of this season, is that you're running the risk of wasting some truly elite performances from the core that you've convinced that you're a win now team, so they've signed here. And that is a major problem. However, they haven't gone that far yet. So in terms of thinking about assets, yes, you're not moving your first round pick probably ever this season. You shouldn't move next year's second at this rate as well. They don't have their second, which is what you had to remind me of last week. For this year, they don't have it because of Luke Shen, and that's a mistake.
They don't have it next season either. That was the Tanev deal.
Well, maybe it's time to acquire some assets.
Yes.
But maybe I'm just repeating myself and it's not working right now, but I still think, given the fact that they have track, that they can successfully strategically acquire a mid-tier player now and be sellers when the time comes, right? I think they have to give themselves, let this play out, play the games, see what happens, even if the odds are not necessarily in their favor. Because I think a few home dates in the playoffs are worth it to this organization. I think the opportunity to do something at all are worth it. And I don't see acquiring a mid-tier player at this stage as really draining future opportunities, because in my mind, they have to be willing to sell and recoup picks as the season goes on and they find out that they haven't been able to earn that first round date. That is everything I'm saying is predicated on that. And in fact, I have a piece coming out tomorrow where we're talking about that. I'm calling them sellers. I'm saying they should sell, all of that sort of stuff. But they have, 3 years to make something good happen with the window that they have. And they're probably going to wait until they absolutely have to, 2.5 months from now, before they really pull the plug on this one.
Hey, last one for you. It is Christmas. Many people have their lists. If you're Scott Arniel and outside of like a 12-game winning streak, what do you think is what would be at the top of his wish list right now going into this Christmas break?
I mean, even one more player who could impose himself against other teams. You hear him talk about hey, we got Luke Shen in to play the physical side of things because we were thinking about matchups, or we switched these wingers because we were thinking about matchups. And what happened to the idea that you're not waiting for the game to happen to you, that your team is what happens to the other team? And that only works for a few certain guys on the Winnipeg Jets right now. And boy, oh boy, are they desperate for another version of that. And they used to have that on their second line. They don't anymore. So I think number one on his wish list is that. And it's funny for that reason that he hasn't split Connor and Scheifele just in case that works. Maybe a little creativity could be put in his wheelhouse as well, maybe in terms of gifts. They need something. They don't have that something right now, and you got to plot their route to it. They're running out of options to find it.
Murat, listen, as we'll look forward to the game tonight and Sunday, and I know next week, it'll be a nice reset for probably everyone in that locker room, probably for a lot of fans. Just wanted to wish you a very, very happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And again, we can lean on all the things that we have to be thankful about. And who knows, maybe we can get that Christmas miracle tonight in Denver for Jet fans that wanted that win on Wednesday. All the best to you, Haley, and the entire crew. And we'll look forward to doing this again with you very soon. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for the chat.
Good stuff. There's Murat Atesh. Looking forward to his latest tomorrow at theathletic.com. And, of course, you can give him a follow on X at WPG Murat. Your thoughts on that convo and where we are at. Let's quickly do a little bit of fan feedback for Fans First. Your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the user market, where what you see is what you pay. No added fees ever at fansfirst.ca. I see Chris Jets fan. Jets can win cup in 2027 with core. Add young players soon and drop top 5 first-round star to play now. Serge says we're 2 key pieces away, a second-line center and a first-line defenseman. Those are expensive pieces, though, I will say, Serge. Jude says scouting is not good, but let's go get draft picks. Chevy sucks, but let's make a trade. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you got to have it one way or the other. And Jude, this is confusing. With the next 2, they have a chance. Lose the next 2 or even go 1-1. They are cooked. And Phyllis, we need a play driver now. Yes, you can continue to put in your Christmas list, Christmas wish for the Winnipeg Jets in the chat. Fan feedback brought to you by Fans First. By fans, for fans, no fees. Check out the site today at fansfirst.ca. Of course, we hit the Clean Line lines earlier for Clean Line, heating, plumbing, and electrical. If you missed it, it's Shifley, Connor Velarde. It's Lowry with Barron on Iafallo. Niederreiter and Perfetti with Nemetsnikov. Kepke's out. Pearson's in. So it'll be a Taves, Nyquist, and Pearson. Fleury's out Fleury's in for Luke Shen. He'll play with Logan Stanley, Morrissey, DeMello, Stamberg, and Pionk. Hellebuck get the net tonight. Of course, it's always brought to you by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets with 24-hour emergency service. Captain approved. Check them out at cleanline.ca. Great times were had at Boston Pizza on Wednesday. Thanks again to everyone that braved the weather and came out. It was great to see all of you. Really fun to see how our people really stepped it up, in particular Bridget, and making sure everyone was there and in very good spirits. It was so much fun. Of course, BP is going to be a great place to gather throughout the holiday season. Crazy Thursday nighter last night. Jets, Avs tonight. 2 NFL games tomorrow. We're going to get to that with Hacksaw right away, including Green Bay and Chicago for the top of the NFC North. And don't forget, great deals on gift cards right now. Buy a $50 gift card for a gift and get a $10 promo card free, which is a 20% bonus on those gift cards. Pop by your local BP tonight. If you're staying at home, too snowy outside, do what I did last night and get the great taste of BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. And when you head out this weekend to finish up that Christmas shopping list, might I suggest you just take care of it all in one spot, and that would be Royal Sports. Royal is locked and loaded with the best in Winnipeg Jet merchandise for the Jet fans in the family or in your circle. Customized jerseys with your favorite player's name and number. Tons of different versions. They've got Jets, hoodies, hats, toques, scarves, you name it. They've got it at Royal, along with the best from all the NHL teams, the National Football League, the Blue Jays in Major League Baseball, Raptors in NBA, and, of course, international soccer, and tons of great Canada gear with the World Cup coming up this summer here on our country and continent. And don't forget to check out the King's Skate, Snow, and Surfside. Tons of really cool Christmas gift ideas waiting for you there. And, of course, if you got a hockey player in the family, check out the amazing deals, up to 50% off on hockey sticks right now on the floor at Royal Sports. Just in time for the holidays, Royals got you covered. 750 Pembina Highway. Check them out online and Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. All right, just before we bring in Hacksaw, you know what he says. It's Beer Friday. So let's fire it up with the big holiday cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, one more time before we open up gifts. It is a holiday visit from the man himself, the legendary Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Saw, best of the season to you. Welcome back to the program. How are you today? I'm sure it's probably a little less snowy and cold down in Southern California than we are in the blowing snow advisories and blizzard warnings all week here in the Peg.
Happy holidays to my O Canada Network and you guys up there in Winnipeg. I almost missed this segment. I was in my garage. I'm trying to find all my cold weather gear that I used to wear doing NFL games because I am going for Christmas to Lake Superior. You know how bloody cold it is in Lake Superior? Yes, you do. You live in Winnipeg. You know. So I'm going to Duluth for a family reunion. My kids never went there. They talked me into this. So I've spent a half hour to 45 minutes rummaging through the back of my garage trying to find my winter NFL gear because it's going to be cold up there. But yes, it's 71 degrees here and sunshine in San Diego.
Lee, you know, it's funny that you're heading to Duluth, Minnesota, of all places. This will make you, you know, usually you're the one that's making us the smartest guys in the sporting conversations. Well, you're going to be able to blow your friends' minds with this little bit of information. Just outside of Duluth is Hermantown, Minnesota. And from Hermantown, a small town of, what does it say, 10,221, is the hometown of both Neil Pionk and Dylan Sandberg, who are defense partners on the Winnipeg Jets. We often talk about the Hermantown connection. They went there, played there, University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs. I think we've got 3 guys on the Jets from there. So even though it is in the state of hockey, I would suggest that the Winnipeg Jets could very well be the hometown team in that area. So and tell them all, I'm talking with the Jets guys all the time. Big Neil Pionk and Dylan Sandberg guys.
I might miss that side trip. Just give me my glass of wine, sit in front of the fire, get away from him, and watch college football and watch NFL playoff games.
Yeah, well, listen, we had what felt like a playoff game last night. I don't want to use too much hyperbole here, but I will lead this to you, who has a hell of a lot more experience with this league than me. That, to me, when you consider the hype, the records, the scenario, and what was on the line, and what happened, one of the all-time great regular season games in NFL history.
Emotional pendulum, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, at one point it was 30-14 Rams. At one point, Seattle's defense had been on the field all night and couldn't get off the field. And Matthew Stafford was going up and down the field, and then it just changed. The Seahawks defense played 88 snaps. You never see that in the NFL. And they were on the field at 88 snaps, and I'll guarantee you, the last 10 snaps, the last 2 possessions, they really played well. Where they came up with the gusto and the reserve to hang in there and go through 4 quarters. And for the Rams defense, man, they ran out of gas. They let Seattle go 4 scoring drives in the second half of the game. And never in my life that I can ever recall have I ever seen 3 2-point conversions that Seattle executed in the course of the game. Now, there are a couple of controversial referee calls that maybe the Rams are going to wind up getting a letter saying we made a mistake from the league office. But at the end of the day, it's a crusher emotionally for the Rams because the intangible, and the Rams have had a great season, but the intangible now, they don't get home field advantage for anything. They might finish 5th or they might finish 6th, which means their playoff games are either going to be in Philadelphia, Chicago, Green Bay, or back in Seattle on the NFC side. And I mean, this was crushing. When it was 30-14, I thought they're going to have home field for the whole thing. And now it's gone away. And it's tragic. They had 581 yards in offense. Matthew Stafford threw for 487. And then it just fell apart at the end. But obviously give credit to the Seahawks because Sam Darnold just kept pecking away. And, they got a kick return for a touchdown. They had an interception. They had some key plays. And then the 2-point conversions 3 times in a game. Wow. So, the correct word is classic. It was a real classic Thursday night game.
The one 2-point convert. I mean, Sean McVay's been around the game for a long time, albeit a young man. he had never seen anything like that. Like, that might be the most important high leverage at the same time as the most bizarre play I've ever seen in the NFL. When you think, Lee, they were ready to kick off. And then all of a sudden you go back to replay is just so hilarious. Like, Charbonnet is just grabbing the ball. He doesn't think for a second that he's scoring a 2-point convert. But when you look back at it plays, it does make sense. And it was kind of crazy that it went the way that it was. But you've been around for a long time. Have you seen anything like that ever?
No, bizarre. You're talking about the deflection off the helmet.
Yeah.
That bounced into the end zone. But I think the arguing point, and I didn't get a lot of good looks at the angle, was it a lateral? Because that's what the officials came back.
Yeah, it was a backwards pass.
Backwards pass. I mean, a strangest backward pass, considering where the pass rusher was coming from with his hands up, and it went through and hit his helmet. It just, what a crusher for the Rams. My God, never had such a great season. And, now they've lost 2 really bad games in 3 weeks. They lost in the rain to Carolina a couple weeks ago. And this one, I mean, they forfeit a 30-14 lead, and it just gets away from them. What a devastation thing. And like I say, they can go find their cold weather gear because they're going to be wearing it for the entire playoffs. That's heartbreaking.
You know who else was quite excited about what happened last night? The team that's hosting the Super Bowl this year, the San Francisco 49ers. Because while there is a better than 50% chance that the Seahawks get the number 1 seed and win the division, this also opens up a path for the Niners with the win head-to-head against the Seahawks in the last week of the season to potentially come from 3rd place all the way to 1st and win the NFC West.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's done a remarkable job. When you think about how many players that they've lost on the uninjured reserve, they had a better team on IR than they have on the roster. The one unique aspect is Christian McCaffrey's been healthy all year, and he's never been healthy. He's always been hurt. But boy, what a phenomenal job. And they're dealing with all the crap in the locker room with Brandon Ayuk and him disappearing on the team. And I mean, he's been such a terrible distraction. And now he's gone and he's going to be traded in the offseason. But they are where they are. Now, are they deep? Are they equal to the Rams talent-wise? I'm not even sure they're equal to the Seahawks talent-wise. But yet, Shanahan's fingerprints are on everything, and they got 9 wins. They got 9 wins with a better team on IR than is on the field. It's a phenomenal job of coaching by him.
Lee, there's a couple other stories I want to hit, but let's quickly talk about the slate of the game. Give us a little run through on the big game, starting off with the Saturday night game battle for the NFC North of similar importance to last night's game with the Bears at home to the Packers without Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Parsons out of that lineup, gone for the year. That's a big blow to that pass rush. That's going to be a problem because Caleb Williams is having himself a really statistically dominant year with that new coach, Ben Johnson. Now, Chicago's defense isn't playing great. But, Green Bay's got a lot of guys nicked up. And Jordan Love's been carrying this thing and has not turned the ball over hardly at all. I think he's got 22 touchdowns and maybe 5 interceptions on the season. Caleb Williams is really cooking, and they power the ball. They run it. And, again, that's a cold weather game, too. So that's typical NFC North life. I got to believe Chicago's going to win this one because I think Green Bay's going to run out of chance. They just don't have enough. So that's obviously one big one. Another one, I talked a week ago on our NFL Notebook segment that, New England had 10 wins and had that hot winning streak. It hadn't played anybody. And then they played somebody last week and got punched in the mouth. Well, now they're going to get punched in the mouth again because here comes Baltimore with this very deceiving 7-7 record. The one thing that's different is Lamar Jackson now, 4 weeks in, coming off all these injuries, seems to be Lamar Jackson what it was before, throwing it and running a little bit more, and they're going heavy duty on Derrick Henry. He's got almost 1,200 yards rushing and is averaging 5 yards per carry. So the Patriots maybe have to start to wonder, okay, can we hold up to another physical battering? Baltimore is going to pound the rock. That's going to be an interesting game to see if New England suddenly goes from 10-game win streak to maybe back-to-back losses. Denver, Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is having a mystical season under Liam Cohen. Even though he's only got a quarterback rating of about 88, he's throwing touchdown passes through 5 of them last week. But they're going to face Denver. And that Orange Crush defense is another solar system. A defense got 58 quarterback sacks, 22 takeaways. Opponents can only convert 31% of the third down. So if you get points against Denver's defense, you've really earned them. And Bo Nix has just gotten progressively better and better and better over the last 6 to 8 weeks of the season. I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. What a job Sean Payton's done. That sucker, they've won 11 in a row. So Denver-Jacksonville is going to be a huge game. And the other intriguing one is the Chargers are playing really well, and they're playing take-no-prisoner defense. I mean, they're pounding people. I would have never thought they would have beaten both the Eagles and Kansas City. Last I checked, they were in the Super Bowl last year, right? And the Chargers mugged both their quarterbacks. So right now, Justin Herbert, fractured hand notwithstanding, playing really well. Now they go to Dallas. And I'll tell you, Dak Prescott is having an MVP season on offense, although their defense is deplorable. This could be a wild game. I have no doubt that Justin Herbert's going to try to throw for a ton. And I have no doubt that Dak Prescott, despite the pass rush that the Chargers seem to have discovered, he's going to come out heaving. And those two wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and George, between them, 144 catches. Between them, they're averaging 15 yards per reception. So if you like offensive football, Chargers, Cowboys, that's going to be fun. So those are the marquee games on the schedule.
Yeah, no, dude, it's going to be a big one. I'm actually looking forward to Steelers Lions as well. I do like the Lions in that game. Big win for Pittsburgh last week at the expense of the Miami Dolphins. Now, no one cares about this Dolphins-Bengals game this week. It is noteworthy, though, that Tua has been relegated to the third-string quarterback. They're starting rookie Quinn Ewers. But, Lee, by my count, is if they move on from Tua for next year, it's $100 million in dead cap. How do they manage this moving forward?
Well, they're not going to be able to. I don't think they're not going to release him. I don't know that he's got very much trade value. Now, if you do anything after June 1st, the cap figure is cut in half. It's spread out over 2 years in the NFL. So it'd be a $50 million cap hit. But there's not a lot of value out there for him because he's undersized. He's got the concussion problems. His turnover ratio this year is just terrible. And he's taken 30 quarterback sacks on top of it. And they don't have Tyreek Hill. So they're a real mess. Think about this. I'd call somebody in Miami and aggravate him. You guys took Tua over the Charger quarterback, Justin Herbert? You kidding me? So that's where we are. They got a problem. And, of course, they're playing the Bengals, who got lifetime problems because of the ownership of Mike Brown. Although Joe Burrow has really walked back all the things he said out of frustration a couple of weeks ago, where he says, I'm not going to ask for a trade. I don't think they need to fire anybody here. Well, I think they do. They need to fire the freaking owner. But it's a disaster. They're wasting Joe Burrow's career, and he gets pounded, and he takes interceptions, and he gets hurt. He's been hurt every year. It's just a sad commentary of an organization. Let's just let this thing go into the ground, because I swear to you, Paul Brown would come out of his grave and fire his son Mike Brown as the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. It's just a terrible situation for Joe Burrow to be in.
Well, I'll be honest. Emo Joe has a little bit of a hand in that. He is the franchise player. Don't think that he wasn't a huge factor in, getting them to. I mean, they were going to re-up Chase, but T. Higgins making $25 million. I think the original plan was, maybe we should protect our quarterback, but you got to take care of your guys in the room, and it's blowing up on them right now. And obviously, I mean, another lost season for the Bengals. Be fascinating if they do entertain a trade, because that would be one of the biggest in recent NFL history. And I would imagine come with multiple ones for a team that would give Joe Burrow a new home. But then what does that leave T. Higgins and Jamar Chase back there? Listen, I know you and everybody else in other AFC West cities, frankly, the entire National Football League, have been dancing on the graves of the Kansas City Chiefs. It was, a horrible way for it to end, in all seriousness, with the injury to Patrick Mahomes, which is just a loss to football. It's a loss to sports. Hope that he'll be back. Incredibly had surgery the very next day, the Monday afterwards, just showing how committed he is to trying to get back. But Lee, big questions about the future of this Chiefs roster moving forward after such an underwhelming season, after they have been the standard in the NFL during the Mahomes and Reid era.
They've had a great run. I mean, let's not denigrate Kansas City. What Andy has done, what Brett Veach, the general manager, has done, what Spagnuolo became. Obviously, Mahomes is just a unique, eclectic star quarterback. And I don't think they need to blow it up. They obviously need to evaluate, do we have the right offensive lineman in front of this superstar Hall of Fame quarterback? Secondly, do we have enough power backs? So is that all linked into the fact, do we have the right lineman? That needs to be fixed. Chris Jones got a lot of miles on the tires. Maybe they need to start thinking about some additional people in the defensive front. They've had a phenomenal run. Now, granted, it's easy to say, I'm tired of seeing these dudes. I'm tired of seeing Mahomes beat my teams week in, week out. But he's great. He's brilliant. He's a Hall of Famer. So let's appreciate the accomplishment of this decade that Andy Reid has brought to Kansas City. And all things change, and injuries change teams, and age changes teams, and free agency can change teams. So I'll be intrigued to see how they address the offseason, because I don't think they can bring everybody back and think it'll be okay again, because it hasn't been okay, at least the last couple of years, in and around and in front of Mahomes. But a lot of credit to him. He's such a great competitor.
Hey, before we go, I know we talked about the Rams right off the bat. Well, is Puka Nacua turning into one of these diva problem wide receivers? I mean, he is so damn good on the field and was absolutely brilliant last night. And I mean, poor McVay's getting blindsided with the tweet that he's sending from the locker room afterwards, in addition to all the BS that was going on leading into the game. What's going on with him?
Well, I'll guarantee you, he's been quiet, and he's from BYU. He's very emotional. I understand that. You know, it's odd. His brother got arrested just yesterday in Los Angeles on car theft of a player, a Lakers player's car, too. But Nacua went way off the edge here. And Sean McVay's so busy. These coaches live in their office, sleep in their office.
Didn't he have a kid on Monday morning, too?
Yeah.
Like a baby?
Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, these coaches don't know to look outside, whether it's snowing outside or it's sunny outside. Sean McVay was broadsided at the press conference. He had to look at his PR director and say, what's this all about? He didn't know. Again, he doesn't pay attention. He's all football all the time. I'll guarantee you, between now and when they return to practice on Monday, there will be a sit-down, and they will have a discussion. And you know, Puka is very emotional, and Puka's running with people, and Puka's a star now. He just kind of did some things that were really bad in terms of, you know, I'm not going to say gang signs, but dances, finger gestures that have anti-Semitism attachments to it. And he says he did not know, that wasn't paying attention. Maybe he didn't. But the criticism of the refs, he's going to get a letter from the league on the league stationery that he's going to be fined. And he did it 2 times within a week. So they just got to tamp him down. But Sean McVay said, hey, we'll put our arms around them. This will be a learning situation for him. We have to handle all things with class. McVay was so upset at the loss. And I mean, you could just see in his face and the tone of his voice how just upside down he was. And then all this Puka stuff kind of came at him, and he didn't even know what it was all about. So they'll solve it. Hopefully this kid's not going to become a punk, because this kid is a fine player. Would he have 12 for 255 last night?
Stupid. It was stupid.
You know,
and
Stafford,
it's fantasy
Stafford
football.
throws for 487. That means somebody's got to catch 487 yards of passes, and it was him.
Someone in my fantasy league was starting Stafford and Puka, and I think they're leading like 77-0 in their game right now, just from those two guys. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. You know, now that you've had the breaking news, you're heading up to Duluth. It's only 6.5 hours to the Peg. Maybe on the 29th, you jump in the whip, bring your passport, drive up. We've got Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers here. We'll roll out the red carpet for a Hacksaw in the Peg at Canada Life Center. See if you can, maybe massage the schedule a little bit and let us know on that. Invite is official.
Have to negotiate with the vice president of the wife, and I've already conceded, because I agreed to do this trip because my kids have never been there and wanted to see their cousins. I had a brother that's up there, and it's beautiful. I understand that it's going to be bleeping cold. Lake Superior is so freaking cold. The Edmund Fitzgerald and all that. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of a novel experience. I like the outdoors, etc. I'll get to Winnipeg. I will get back. Haven't been there in a long time. But I will get to Winnipeg, and then you can buy me some Boston pizza in a 1919.
Damn straight. It'll be that's the New Year's resolution for 2026. We're getting Hacksaw up to the Peg. Have a wonderful trip and a very Merry Christmas, Lee. We'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure. Happy holidays to everybody up there. Thanks for everything you do for your fans and what you've done to influence me with my podcast and my website. Merry Christmas. I'll be back a week from Friday, and then we'll be getting ready for the playoffs.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Lee.
Thanks,
and again, from everybody in the chat, a big Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to Hacksaw. All right. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Terry, Hacksaw can stay at my place. Everyone, it'll be a competition of who gets to house the saw for the weekend. All right. Let's wrap up the marbles, everybody. It's been open for a while. So, Michael Remis, if you want to give everyone 30 seconds or whatever, and then chop that up, and we will get ready for one final marble race before Christmas. And we do have our Christmas themed as well. Bring it out a couple times a year. Again, great to see Tristan and Candace and everyone at a little bit of a holiday watch party where we got lumps of coal from Mother Nature and the Winnipeg Jets, but not from all of our WST crew. I will head over to the Cool Bet lines right now as we get ready for it. And if you joined us late and you're popping in for marbles in the end of Hacksaw, do not forget, everybody, that on Monday at 8 p.m. is a special WST holiday poker tourney, 8 p.m., where the goal is to be one of the top 4 finishers, where you will not only win 1/4 of the well, you basically win the value of the ticket to the Costa Rica final, which will be bonused afterwards, and you'll win a ticket to the Costa Rica final, which is on January 12th. We had a great time, last Wednesday, with the first tournament. Congratulations to Eagle Eyes and Machine Blank, Chow Dog, Beelzebubba, and myself, who were the final 4. If you're able to do that on Monday, you'll be booking yourself for Monday, January 12th. And if you can win that tournament, 2 Mondays from there, you'll be heading with myself and Jeff Hamilton down to Costa Rica for the Costa Rica Poker Festival. Cannot wait. We're going to have some fun content from down there. And looking out the window, that is as incentive as anything to join us for the poker event. So again, Monday the 22nd, this Monday, 8 p.m. Follow our socials for more details, but would love to see you there. Let's get to it tonight. NHL. We have 5 games on tap. Pretty good Eastern Conference games between the Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers. Panthers, a home dog at +110. Carolina at -130. The Islanders, -139 at home to the Vancouver Canucks. Canucks have won a couple since the Quinn Hughes trade. Devils are in Utah to take on the Mammoth. Could use a Jersey win. New Jersey is +115. Utah -135. And basically a pick'em between Dallas and Anaheim. Dallas -111. Anaheim -105. The Jets are the biggest underdog on the board tonight. And that is because they are in Colorado to take on the Avalanche. Jets +205 for the win. Avalanche -250. The total in the game is 6. The Avs even money to win on the puck line, as they have done so many times this year. Now over to the National Football League. Oh, just quickly, there's actually a big bowl game tonight. First round of the college football playoff, which is a pick'em. Alabama and Oklahoma. Oklahoma looks to be at home. Miami's at Texas tomorrow. Texas A&M -3 points. Tulane and Mississippi. James Madison, 21-point dogs against Oregon. So we've got a bunch of those games and then a bunch of the rest of the bowl games as well. Though the bowls have really taken a hit now with the transfer portal and NIL and all that. Really, I think most people are just paying attention to what's happening in the college football playoff. But that first game is tonight. Bama and Oklahoma should be a good one. NFL, we just went through a whole bunch of the games. Tomorrow, Packers at Bears. The Bears, a minus 125 home favorite. 1.5 points is the spread. Packers plus 106 to win. Huge game in the NFC South. The Panthers. Can the Panthers keep pounding and get back after another loss to the Saints to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? These teams will play for the division. They go head-to-head this week and in the final week of the season. Massive one. You mentioned that Chargers-Cowboys game. Cowboys 2-point home favorites. Quinn Ewers at his first start for the Dolphins. They're 4-point dogs at home. Minnesota is in New York to take on the Giants. J.J. McCarthy's looked good. 2 straight wins coming off of injury. I like Minnesota at minus 1.5. Chiefs are 3-point favorites in Tennessee. Take the Titans on that one. Offensive line, Minshew, uncharted territory for a team that hasn't played a meaningless game in 9 years. And then Jacksonville at Denver. 2 heavyweights. Hard to believe I'm saying that from the AFC. Denver with 3-point favorites. Detroit 7-point favorites at home to Pittsburgh. Huge game on Sunday night. Oh, this is a good one. Patriots at Ravens. Ravens are 3-point home favorites in that one. And then it's Phillip Rivers on Monday Night Football. Unbelievable. The Niners 5.5-point favorites up against Indy. Now, I'm just going to look into the combo cards right now because we had a very fun WST winners today. And I'm not sure whether they are up. I'm just going to see. Oh, my God. You know what tonight is, Remis?
It's Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Okay, we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, so we've got Tennessee plus 3.5, Broncos minus 2.5, Niners minus 5.5. That one is boosted from plus 475 to plus 545. The pay dirt parlay, the touchdown parlay. This is a fun one. So Khalil Shakir needs a touchdown for a big bonus. He's like plus 246. We've got him on the card. Hollywood Brown needs a touchdown for the Chiefs. He's over 4-1. So if those two can come in, we didn't want to have another really crazy one. So we've got Christian McCaffrey on Monday. That one is boosted to over 30-1.
What?
That is the WST winners pay dirt parlay. Well, it's a plus 250 and a 4-1. And then you add in the McCaffrey, which is like minus 196. So those are up right now. Patty's got a prop. And I'm just looking to see. Maybe we have this in the exclusives. Because we've got the WST winners. Coker from the Panthers, 39 or more receiving yards. Jackson Dart, 33 plus rushing yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs, 74 plus rushing yards, plus 625. Patty's tease. I'm going to get this up. I don't see it yet. But we do have our first ever producer parlay. And this is from one Connor Rabchak. It is the Bears to win on Saturday. It's the Patriots to win on Sunday night. And the Denver Broncos to win as well. And I think when we put that in, it was about plus 541, if I recall it correctly. Where the heck is the Denver game? I cannot find it. Broncos. Here we are. Plus 555. So I hope to get it up there, but if you want to just play it, Chicago, New England, Broncos. Those were Connor's picks. The first ever producer parlay. Yes, Remis, tonight, it is Jake Paul going up against Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, the former heavyweight champion of the world. Jake Paul is a plus 750 dog. Joshua is minus 1,000. A draw is 20-1. I'm sorry, I just cannot help but think that something is awry every time Jake Paul steps into the ring. Is there any chance that he could actually win or draw in this fight? I.e., have Joshua take it easy on him. And like these things never seem on the up and up, and yet people watch them and bet them.
I mean, it's on. So, like, I guess people are looking for stuff to watch. Does UFC still do their like New Year's card? They usually have a good one. So, just, It's going to be on TV or sorry, on Netflix. People are talking about it. It is a draw. We all got suckered into the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Now, Mike Tyson was an old man, and maybe we got too hyped up.
Remember watching that in the Lions' Den?
Yeah, it was
Grey
awful.
Cup?
It was terrible.
But everyone wanted to see it. That is the one thing. Jake Paul might be the greatest marketer.
I think so.
Of all time. I don't know how this continues to happen. But, I mean, listen, the odds are that he's going to get his ass knocked out, which I think is what a lot of people want to see. Joshua by a KO, TKO, or DQ is minus 385. A decision is plus 425 for Joshua. And then, of course, like Jake Paul by decision or technical decision, 11-1. Paul by KO, TKO, or DQ is 12-1, and a draw is 20-1. I mean, I can't bring myself to bet actual Canadian money on a Jake Paul fight personally.
Jake Paul only fights people that he knows he's going to win against.
Well, that's what makes this one so weird.
Which is why this is so weird. I'll probably end up having it on another TV. If the Jets game gets really bad, I would even switch it to the main TV. It would have to get pretty bad. I'm curious what's going to happen. People want to see him get knocked out. People don't like him. I don't think he's going to put himself in a fight where he can lose. Are these legitimate fights? Like, is this like pro wrestling?
Well, that's the question. Maybe we do the Christmas Miracle Parlay. Jake Paul, Jets. What do we get on that? Probably a good 35-1. I'm just kidding. We're not betting on Jake Paul, but if you're interested in that, that's what the numbers are. All right, let's get to some marbles. We've waited long enough. It's been a great week. It was great seeing everybody. The snow is flying. It's a perfect time for the Christmas theme marble song, courtesy of one Tristan Rivers Music. Michael Remis, let the orchestra play.
It's a holiday, the time for celebrations night. Before you stop to treat yourself, there's something you gotta do one more time. For the whole weekend, with no one even on the line. Zero effort left to give, except to do 45. One more time, it's time to do a marble race. No skill separating best to worst. Marble race, just type marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race, don't spam unless it's Oleg's victory lap. Marble race, you do your part, then that's a wrap. Ho, ho, ho.
Just kidding, that's lame. But we were all thinking that.
Set, go!
All right, the one and only Tristan Rivers with the marble theme. It is looking very Christmassy. I know you don't have a window where you're at, Remo.
Yeah.
It's a straight up whiteout. I cannot see to the other side of the river right now. I can barely make out a tree on the other side. It is blustery. It is blowing. Be careful on the roads today, folks. I can't imagine. I haven't checked whether there are any highway closures, but with the amount that it's snowing right now and blowing around, the visibility is going to be next to zero for the second time this week, which not great heading into the weekend.
I started Googling like live weather cameras. Is that guess that's a thing?
I love that.
I'll have to look for some. We can have one like on our channel here. I'm sure I could pull that up.
We could. I'm pulling up road conditions right now. Emergency alert, first thing that comes in. Poor visibility, blowing snow expected in parts of western and southern Manitoba. Don't see any closed. It's snow covered on Highway 1 if you're leaving east, partly snow covered, bare around. But there's a lot of blowing and drifting snow everywhere right now. So anyways, be careful. What's the Christmas track today, Remis?
So, yeah, the one that I tried to do last week, I figured it out here. So we're going to do that one. Thankfully, I write these down so I don't forget them. And we have 256 marbles in. Let me close it. 256. So a lot of marbles. Do I have to throw any extra like Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski? Do they get one?
Yeah, you know what? Let's put in me, all caps, please, and then Brady and Nick.
All right, I'll put them in. That's fair, right? The hometown guys signing the big contracts.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll put these in.
And by the way, to everyone, I think Dave, who won last week, I have his size, but I no longer have larges and XLs in Santa's sack of hoodies. So if you were, I know Derek Honer had just won, and I'm looking to get him. So anyways, hang tight. We'll get some more after the holidays and get everyone hooked up. Apologies for that. Yeah, what's this one called again?
Let me look it up. And then, yeah, and also we were selling like the new look hoodie that you've been wearing all week on our website. And we basically sold out of like the large and XL as well. So if anyone wants one of those, you want to reserve one, I guess send us a note or we'll put them up for sale. Stay tuned to the newsletter. We'll announce the drop whenever that.
Yes.
Maybe. Hey, we never did the power poll. Hey,
the merch
NFL?
drop. Oh, that's right. Actually, yeah, we'll do. You know what? Let's. This is my final act, and again, a huge Merry Christmas to the folks at Chuds. Derminator and the gang out there are fired up for the. Everyone in Gimli's fired up for the WST Town takeover.
WST,
the Winnipeg Jets. But I want to make it partly a WST Town takeover as well with our friends at Chuds. Maybe go up there, do the show in the afternoon with the Derminator and the Chuds family and everybody out there, and then do some content from the town takeover. Could be really a lot of fun. I think that's on March 19th. But yes, of course, I was going to do this before Hacksaw came on, but the NFL Power Poll. And listen, this is a maybe a mea culpa, maybe a bit. I hope it doesn't end this way. But Bronco fans, this is your moment. I've been keeping you off until you had a big win. Well, guess what? That win over Green Bay got it done. And with everything else happening, you've got basically, it looks like they're going to be the number one seed. Doubt them, and I probably will in the playoffs, but the Denver Broncos, congratulations. You're number one on the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll. The Seahawks get number two after their win last night, but to me, it's a pick-em between those teams. But home field and the bye is so important. Seattle number two, Rams number three. The Bills get number four after their incredible comeback win over the Patriots. But I'm not sliding the Patriots down too far. Patriots at 11-3, and the Bears will have an opportunity tomorrow to maybe leapfrog a few teams if they can retake first place in the NFC North. Chuds Power Sports Power Poll brought to you by our friends at Chuds up in Gimli, corner of Highway 8 and 231. Check out chudspowersports.com ahead of a snowmobile season, which seems to be here right now because we get a foot of snow every day in Winnipeg and in southern Manitoba. Merry Christmas to our friends at Chuds as well. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people at Chuds ready for this marble race today, Remo. So let's get to it.
Yes, I've got it very good. And then Rip City Step says you're disrespecting the Jags on your thing. You're still mad about Trevor Lawrence taking you out in fantasy.
Yeah, I am. But I'm just saying, Step, that I mean, it was against the Jets. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence is still like 29th ranked quarterback. I have lots of ill will against the Broncos. Trust me, I hate them. Jags to me are, I mean, I guess I'm pissed off at Trevor for his great last minute drive in Monday Night Football, which kind of was a big part of the Chiefs' undoing this year. But I don't like the Jags this week. That's for sure. Maybe I'll bet them in the playoffs. We'll see. But again, and listen, Rip City Step is along with a whole bunch of ESTers that are here. Very festive day over at Edmonton Sports Talk today. We had a hell of a lot of fun today in the lock shop, but best of the season to all our Edmonton friends that join us on Winnipeg Sports Talk and, of course, come around for the Friday marble race. All right, let's do this.
Sure. You're talking about the weather. I just got a text from my wife. Went to pick up my daughter at daycare. It's like a couple blocks away. She writes, OMG, it's horrible. 3 exclamation marks. I can't see. I think she drove like less than 5 minutes. Like, not great. Not great.
Stay off the roads if you can today, gang. That is some good advice. I might not give a lot of advice, but Andrew's hanging on to his. The Patriots should not be on there. Well, Patriots have been good. Feel free to debate the power poll, Royal and the rest of the gang. Who should be off, who should be in. It makes for some great sports talk topics. I just feel like the Bills with that win got on there, but the Patriots, they went from like 2 to 5. Packers and Bears would be the other 2 teams that would really have an argument. And as I said, it was close. It was close.
All right, I'm loading the correct marble names here. Don't want to have last week's names, right? We got 259 potential record competition. I sampled it last week. I remember it being good. Anyways.
Love it. Love it. And again, before we do this, a very happy holidays to all of you. And thank you for all of your support. 1,200th show today. And just in the past month or so, I just found out that we hit 5 million views on YouTube, which was great as well. All right, here we are. The potential record competition. Our Christmas race for marbles today on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Good luck to all 259 of you that are in here today. I like the ramp into a big funnel start, Reem. That is definitely great. Let's let her rip here and get going. Greg, I can attest to the crappy visibility out there. Barely see 100 feet. Give the blizzard a marble. Oh, Jen Cool, speaking of WST. No, Mother Nature. Oh, Dr. Terry, there's a lump of coal. Eliminated right out of the gate. Not fair. One of our best friends and supporters of WST and great sponsors got the lump of coal and an Oleg treatment, a top roping right off the bat. But yes, Jen Cool. And Jen, you or anyone in the EST group, if you want to join us for the poker tourney on Monday, you're all eligible to win the Costa Rica trip if you're able to do it. You can check our socials, but you know what it is. Cool Bet Poker. It's under WST. What do we got here? Trickster. Oh, Matt Hyman in the mix. Matthew Hyman in first place right now. Whoa, this is a wild one. Matt got delayed a little bit. It's Jeff Cochran. Or Jeff Coldwell, excuse me. Trickstar 22, Tristan Rivers music right there. Would that not be a Christmas miracle? Tristan, who made the Christmas song as the winner. Trickstar 22 right now, ahead of Ron P. Hi, Ron. And Tristan Rivers music. 3-horse race right now. Stoop and Drusman have now popped in. And Benjamin Gann as well. Trickstar is getting hosed a little bit by that one. Tristan Rivers music is now first place. Trickstar in second. And Ron P. We're all going into this final orb. These are always fun finishes. Who will get out first and get into the hopper and be today's Christmas champion of WST Marbles? It looks like Trickstar is coming out first. Can they finish the job? The answer is yes. Trickstar 22 with the very Merry Christmas. K6000 in second. WPG 204 finishing up in third. Ron P, a very nice run for Ron. Felix Petkow in fifth. ESTer, VR Montenegro. What up, VR? Nice run today. Randall Anderson in seventh. Matthew Hyman in eighth. Nice work, Hyman. Choices TK 9th and Benjamin Gann. Ben Gann. Great work as well. I got to give a shout out to my guy Ron, who I was at Food Fair the other day, right before, I guess, we went out to a BP, and I was grabbing a few things, figuring that my normal line of food acquisition, skip the dishes, might be impacted by the blizzard. And Ron was actually, this is not Ron P, a different Ron, was saying, Hustler. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he pulls it out, and he was in the middle of listening to WST in Food Fair as I grab my stuff. And shout out to the guys at Corden Food Fair. Great people, the Zeeds. All right, we just gave you the top 10. Trickstar 22 is the winner. Let's head down. Tristan Rivers finished 12th. Northside Sandwich, there's an ES tier in at 12th. You see there's Rob Mahoney. EMT Apparel, there's Key. It's way harder now with these names. Rick Benston, Randy D. What's up, Randy? Brady Oliveira, nicely done. Nick Dembski, also right there. Jet Oil Tom, great to see Jet Oil Tom. There's Candace as well. Whole bunch of the crew. The 55-yard line as well. I see Schickster. Schickster we'll see at the games next weekend. There's our friends at Royal Sports. Pop by Royal on the weekend. It's going to be wild there, but no better place to take care of all of your Christmas shopping. Russ Lowen. Great to see Russ on Wednesday, as well as the rest of the crew. There's Eagle Eyes. Eagle Eyes is already qualified for the Costa Rica final. There's Donnie Boy, Tyler Sattler, Stem, Mark Amph, and then everyone else that didn't make it. I haven't seen myself. I think I may have got top roped kind of early today. Yeah, there's Hustler. Not my day. Not my day at all. And you see right down at the bottom, Dr. Terry. The very first, literally got popped immediately after coming down out of the funnel. Good stuff and a good week. And we should mention, Reem, of course, we're going to be back on Monday. Big show coming out of this weekend. And we'll go Monday and Tuesday next week. And then hopefully put together something for you the 24th, 25th, 26th that you can sort of chew on or look at, maybe some of our best of from 2025. And then, of course, right back on the weekend. But don't forget, Connor and Liz will have a holiday edition of WST Sunday Live on Sunday morning. And they'll be able to break down everything from the Avs game and get ready for one final crack at a win, and a big one against the Utah Mammoth, who just got that nice big win against the Detroit Red Wings on the road. And they sit 5 points ahead of the Jets right now, but with 3 games in hand for Winnipeg. Both teams in action tonight. But we'll just say a little prayer for a Christmas miracle tonight of a win in Colorado. Kind of feels like it would be a miracle, but again, that is why they play the games. Folks, have a great weekend. Drive safely or don't drive at all if possible. Thanks again to all the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day, and all of you for hanging out with us. I hope you and your family have a great weekend, and if we don't see you next Monday or Tuesday, you all have a great holiday, but we will be here 1 p.m. on Monday to break down a busy weekend for the Jets, for the National Football League, and sort of go through the lay of the land of the NHL at the Christmas break. That's going to do it for us. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have an awesome one. We'll see you on Monday right here on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.